Hello, hello. Come on in, come on in. I'm glad you guys are here with me today. We're going to be talking about the mysterious disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. And we have a lot of information to unpack. I'm going to get through this in a very down and dirty kind of way. Um, and let's see. Let me pull this up so we can just show these to you.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
If you haven't subscribed, please do. It's free and helps me out a lot. Okay, so everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. All right, so we're going to dive into this. This is Lilly and Jack on the screen. Lilly is 6 years old. Jack is 4 years old. They disappeared from their home in Nova Scotia on Gairloch Road on May 2nd. They were reported missing around 10 a.m. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police said the family believes that Lilly and Jack may have wandered off. So everything I'm sharing is my opinion. Come on in and tell me where you are from. Now, search manager Amy Hansen with the Gloucester ground search said and rescue team said that the volunteers are focusing on a wider area, including a nearby pipeline corridor. Now, this is what they focused on this weekend. They searched on Saturday and Sunday. They searched an area near Lake Lansdowne. And she said, we come back in to cover off some more areas that we deemed were crucial to the search. So they were following up with a boot print in the area, and they wanted to do a professionals only searcher. So volunteers were asked not to search. And they said that they didn't know for sure if this boot print belonged to Lilly or Jack, but it's really the only thing they had to go on thus far. That's really concerning that that's the only thing they had to go on thus far and are investigating sooner. So 75 volunteers from different rescue and search teams were participating on Saturday and Sunday. They had 3 drones, but there were no canine units, so no cadaver dogs, no helicopter assisted. They were just going through in kind of a grid pattern trying to find Lilly and Jack. And they've been missing now for a month. So she confirmed that volunteers came back on Sunday, but said that the dense forest was exhausting and that their numbers were dropping. She said, these people have been out weekend after weekend, but we are starting to see some people who physically and emotionally cannot return to the search. And at this point, it's very taxing on the members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and to the investigation remains open. So let's talk about that because Jim Hopkins, he's a retired Halifax regional police officer. He lent his expertise in policing on the case and said that in the early stages of an investigation that this is very important. Now, Jim Hoskins has been involved in several missing person cases as both a police officer and also as a search and rescue. He told City News in an interview that in some police departments, there's a policy because we want to know why wasn't an Amber Alert issued for Lilly and Jack? Because here we are a month later and still no Amber Alert. So these are the 4 criteria that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have to have in order to issue an Amber Alert. First, they have to have confirmed that an abduction has taken place. Now, obviously, this has not happened because we don't know what happened to Lilly and Jack. So in my opinion, this is probably one of the biggest reasons why there's no Amber Alert. But maybe the criteria needs to be changed because they do meet the other 3 things in the criteria. The next one is the victim is under the age of 18, of proven physical or mental disability. Now, this criteria does apply to Lilly and Jack. They're both under 18. They're 6 years old and 4 years old, respectively. And they were described by their mother, Malehya, as being, quote, slightly autistic. And we're going to talk about Daniel in just a second, so please stay with me. Number 3, there's a reason to believe that the victim is in danger of serious physical injury. Well, I think this also applied because whether they were abducted or not, where they disappeared, I think they were in serious danger. And then 4, there's information available if broadcasted to the public could assist in the safe recovery of the victims. I think this also could be true, but again, not necessarily. I don't think it would have hurt to have put out an Amber Alert. So maybe the criteria needs to be changed because it does seem like, in my opinion, Lilly and Jack met 3 of the 4 criteria very easily. Now, retired Officer Hoskins did say some departments would take another approach and said that they cannot conclude it wasn't an abduction because the evidence cannot rule it out. He said, when you call it early, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police must be quite sure that there is no abduction. So, what does the Royal Canadian Mounted Police believe happened to Lilly and Jack? And if Lilly and Jack had simply wandered away, they would have been found by now, or would they? Because how far, in my opinion, I don't think a 4-year-old and 6-year-old could have gotten that far in the densely wooded areas around their home in Nova Scotia. Now, Hoskins added, it's important when you decide that there's not an abduction, because what you're saying is if there's no abduction, there's no reason for the alert. So, police did start asking people to send them their dash cam footages. I said this during the last live stream. I want to say it again. Any videos along Garlick Road between 12 p.m. on April 28th and 12 p.m. on May 2nd. So that's the week leading up to the disappearance, to the day of the disappearance. And the Mounties also added in the press release that they're committed to exploring all of the possibilities surrounding the disappearance of Jack and Lilly. So I want to talk about a little bit about Daniel. And I want to go through the timeline because I think it's important to consider what I caught something. I just want to go through kind of what I've heard Daniel say and also what I heard Malehya say, because sometimes, let me see, sometimes when something isn't said, it can be just as important as when something is said. So I think that let's begin, because a lot of people have wondered, why is she so convinced that Daniel had something to do with this? Some people think she's just pointing the fingers, but let's think about what Malehya said. She said she heard Lilly and Jack. She never tells us that she saw them on that morning that they were reported missing on May the 2nd. She says that she heard them. She also says that she did not wake up until around 9:30 or 10 a.m. Now, let's juxtapose that comment with what the stepfather Daniel has told us, because I think this is interesting. Daniel said he saw Lilly and Jack. He saw them. He also mentions that the sun wasn't up yet. So let's see, what time does the sun come up in Halifax? Let me take this down. What time does the sun come up? And why does this matter? Is this why? So sunrise, sunset, this is June, but it would have been similar in May. But I can move it back to May. And let's see what time the sun came up in May. The children disappeared on May 2nd. The sun rose at 6 in Halifax at 6 a.m., 6:01 a.m., 6:02 a.m. to be precise, and set at 8:20 p.m. So this is important because, in my opinion, this may be why Malehya is so convinced that Daniel has something to do with it. So Daniel says he saw, not heard, saw Lilly and Jack. He also mentions that the sun wasn't up yet, so it was before 6:02 a.m. So at what time did Daniel see Lilly and Jack? And is this the reason that Malehya left the house and is pointing the finger at Daniel? Because she didn't wake up till 9:30 or 10. And if the sunrise occurred around 6:02 a.m., this leaves 3+ hours of Daniel with Lilly and Jack alone, with Malehya being asleep, right? Because he said he saw them. So did Daniel at some point get up with Lilly and Jack around 6:02 a.m. and then go back to bed at some point? Because Malehya says that, quote, we were sleeping. But were they both sleeping the whole time? Or did Daniel get up and then come back to bed? Now, Daniel's side of the family is saying that they asked Malehya to leave because she was accusing them. And Malehya is so convinced that Daniel had something to do with this. And I'm wondering, why? We know she stopped talking with Daniel and even changed her Facebook to single and removed photos of him. So is she just trying to distract from her own self? Or is there something more to this? When Daniel said that he saw them, not heard them, and then also talked about when the sun comes up. And is this why she's so convinced that he had something to do with it? So in my opinion, Daniel we know from Daniel that he took a lie detector test. He said he did very well. That's not the same thing as saying that he passed. I don't know if he passed or didn't pass. I don't know if law enforcement just said you did really well. I don't know, but I know that law enforcement also did an interview with Daniel for 4 hours. So in my opinion, they were locking him in on his story because Daniel said that he gave them a minute by minute time frame and even had them draw places where Lilly and Jack might be. So I'm not saying Daniel did anything with Lilly and Jack. I'm just saying that law enforcement interviewed him for 4 hours, according to Daniel's own statements. And in order to in my opinion, it's just to lock him in on a story in case they find that something nefarious did happen to Lilly and Jack, because I'm sure that sunrise, sun up comment that Malehya heard maybe is what made her think that he had something to do with it. We know she removed all of the photos of him. She changed her Facebook status to single. So and then we also know from Daniel that Lilly had on a pink shirt, and we hear that, quote, Jackie, he calls him Jackie, was in the kitchen. So again, this all sounds like he saw them. And a few minutes later, we didn't hear them, so I went to check. The sliding glass door was closed. Their boots were gone. So this is what Daniel says. So the fact that he knew what she had on, I think, is interesting. But we also know that the kids were apparently, let's finish what Daniel says. He surmised that the children slipped outside through a sliding glass door. He also said that he noticed that Lilly and Jack were missing May 2nd. He immediately jumped in a vehicle. Now, we don't know if this was a ATV, off-road vehicle, or their car, but he searched neighboring roads looking in culverts. And by the time he returned home, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were there, having been called by the children's mother. But it gets worse because Daniel says what Lily's wearing, right? How does he know for sure that what Lilly was wearing? Daniel said, quote, she had a pink shirt on. We could hear Jackie in the kitchen. A few minutes later, we didn't hear them, so I went to check. The sliding door was closed. Their boots were gone. Daniel also said that when they noticed the two children were missing May 2nd, he immediately jumped in the car and searched neighboring roads looking in culverts. And by the time he returned home, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were there, having been called by Malehya. Now, I don't know if he was in a car or an off-road vehicle, but let's go to Jack. Make sure we're all looking at the same thing. Okay. This is a memorial for Lilly and Jack. I'm like, I like to play this.
It's been 4 weeks since Daniel Martell has seen his stepchildren. 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing Friday, May 2nd, after they wandered out of their Pictou County home.
Can you guys hear this just really quick before I play it all the way through? Just really quick. Can you guys hear this okay? I just don't want to play this whole thing and then find out you guys can't hear. Just a quick yes or no. Can you guys hear this? Yes? Okay. Thank you, Leslie, Patricia, and Jazz. Texas Life. Okay, good. All right, let's play this. And Leslie wants to know. Tony said, I think if mom did anything, she would not have left so she can keep an eye on what's going on. That's a really very interesting theory. And Bubby says, hi, reporter room, everyone in chat. Moderator, hope she's doing well today. All right, so let me back this up. So
It's been 4 weeks since Daniel Martell has seen his stepchildren. 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing Friday, May 2nd, after they wandered out of their Pictou County home. They have not been found after weeks of extensive searching the heavily wooded area.
Every day when I wake up, it feels like I'm reliving a nightmare of May 2nd. But The main feelings of from sadness have just turned to anger because there's no evidence as of after 1 month, and it's really taken a toll.
On Friday, RCMP
So a lot of people have, watched Daniel's affect and do have problems with his affect. He talks about being angry and sadness, and I think people feel that because they don't see that on his face. He talks about it, but he doesn't look like it.
say ground search and rescue crews and police will return to the area this weekend, focusing on a nearby pipeline trail where a boot print was previously located.
And you could just see how grueling and dense that brush is. Look once they walk down this little ravine and you see how dense it is. And so dogs were not searching this weekend. It was professional rescuers doing a grid search.
I know that they're working hard and they're using every resource they have, and it makes me hopeful because that's all we have at this point is just hope.
A vigil of flowers and stuffed animals has grown in recent weeks outside the RCMP station in nearby Stellarton. Since May 2nd, when Lilly and Jack went missing, people here in Pictou County are still struggling to understand what happened and why there are still no answers.
Every day, almost, I go by the RCMP, and it's just so tragic, just so tragic.
And you can see how lovely people are. They've left all of these stuffed animals and little flowers and windmills, just really sweet and thoughtful.
You know, I just feel so bad for their whole family. I'm hoping that they find them.
It just doesn't look good, but I hope I'm wrong.
The warden of Pictou County says many people are on edge and children are worried about playing outside.
Oh, I think it's mostly a mood of anxiety, maybe, and frustration. They too can't believe that there's not an answer by this long and this many people looking.
I mean, yeah, they've had a record turnout, and initially they weren't able to get the drones up on Saturday, but I believe they got them up on Sunday, but they had drones and helicopters out, search dogs. I mean, it is unbelievable that here we are, a month later, and we don't know what happened to these two little ones.
The RCMP have confirmed Lilly and Jack were seen on camera with family the day before they went missing. Police are asking anyone who was on Gairloch Road between April 28th and May 2nd to share their dashcam or other footage with RCMP.
I do think if you look at what the scope of I don't know how far a 4 and a 6-year-old could have really gotten, but you can see how dense and wooded the area is around the house. This right here is their mobile home that they lived in, and this is where the in-laws lived. And a lot of people have likened this to the Summer Wells case, where they feel like it's very similar, where they had, Summer Wells and her parents, Don and Candace, and her 3 brothers lived in a home on a hill, not a mobile home, but a regular home. And then, but Grandis had a trailer that was just off the house, and this is where the in-laws were staying. But the dense brush, it's just how far could really a 4 and a 6-year-old have gotten? Now, a lot of people have wondered if Lilly and Jack got up that morning, came out their front door with their boots on, and came to the end of the road here to catch the bus. And if it was someone opportunistic or someone that was, knew of the family, came by and abducted them. But again, law enforcement has never put out an Amber Alert, and it just makes me wonder if they know something that we don't know. What's really going on here.
Other footage with RCMP. Martell says every detail helps and could lead to finding Lilly and Jack.
I'm going to keep fighting for the rest of my life to find these kids. That's the only.
That bothers me too. Why would it be the rest of his life to find them? It's only been 4 weeks. He's going to fight for the rest of his life. That bothers me, you guys. That really bothers me.
That's the only goal I have at this point.
Haley Ryan, CBC News, Lansdowne State.
That bothers me. Does that bother anybody else?
The only goal I have at this point.
Haley Ryan, CBC News, and could lead to finding Lilly and Jack.
I'm going to keep fighting for the rest of my life to find these kids.
The rest of his life to find these kids. The rest of his life. That bothers me. That bothers me a lot. Does that bother anybody else? I'm just curious if anybody else Leslie says it bothers her too. Nicey Marie says it bothers her. Midwest says bothers her. Can I Kick It says, yeah, if he's says it's forever, speaking in a somewhat, yeah, I don't think he should be too much for little legs, says Enjaz and Brother Mike. Chris Ann says, I don't believe these two children would have made it far in the dense woods as they would have been found weeks ago. Oh, this is the link if you would like to become a channel member. Can I Kick It says Ben Hill Road in very dense woods as well. Yes, definitely. And Summer Wells was never found. Never found. Jewel says, I'm praying that they find them. Thank you for caring about Lily and Jack. And distancing language. Yeah, these kids, he doesn't say Lily and Jack. That doesn't bother me as much as the rest of his life. I mean, it just seems like we've seen statements like this before. He also says these kids instead of Lily and Jack. He doesn't say those kids, though. He says these. But I understand what you're saying, Kick It. I do see what you're saying. Yeah, very distancing language. So red flags, it sounds like, I agree. There's some red flags. NS, hello. Bobby says, it super bothers me. Jill says, I don't believe those babies walked out of that house by themselves. Leslie says, 82 likes and 300. Yeah, please give this a thumbs up and let YouTube know I'm doing a G-rated show here. Texas Life, Julie said, I wish the mom would speak up, but has a lawyer. I feel like she knows more, in my opinion. Well, it does really bother me that he says this is going to take him the rest of his life. So the two things that bother me the most right now are that's going to take the rest of the life. And what I'm wondering of what really bothers Malehya. And just because it bothers me or bothers you or bothers Malehya doesn't mean he did anything. I just want to make that clear. But is the reason that Malehya left the house and is pointing the finger squarely at Daniel because she didn't wake up until 9:30 or 10. But if the sunrise happened at 6:02, what was really going on? Did he get up with Lily and Jack at 6:02 and then go back to bed at some point? Because Malehya says that, quote, we were sleeping. But were they both sleeping the whole time? Or did he get up because we know that they had a 1-year-old. So did he get up with Meadow? Was he up with Lily and Jack? And Malehya was sleeping. Now, Daniel's side of the family is saying that they asked Malehya to leave because she was accusing them. Well, okay, but Malehya is so convinced that Daniel had something to do with this. And then finding out about this 4-hour interview. And then Daniel says he did very well on the lie detector test. That's not him telling us for sure that he passed. So I'm not saying he did or didn't pass, but we haven't heard from anybody except him that says he did very well. That's not the same thing as I passed. So I don't know if that's just what law enforcement told him, is they want to keep him talking. But I do think the 4-hour interview with Daniel, which is what he tells us about, and I think it's very interesting that Malehya seems to think that Daniel had something to do with what happened to Lily and Jack. So what does Malehya know? And what does the Royal Canadian Mounted Police know? And is this why we still don't have an Amber Alert? And how does he know that Lily had on a pink shirt? And then he says, how, we could hear Jackie in the kitchen. But minutes later, we didn't hear them. So I went out to check. The sliding door was closed. Their boots were gone. Well, maybe they went out the front door. But he said that he believes that Lily and Jack went out the sliding door. Why is he so adamant that that's the door they went out? And then he jumps in the vehicle and searches the surrounding neighboring roads, looking in culverts. Why, if you really thought they wandered out of the backyard, then why wouldn't you go search in the woods around the house? Why were you driving around first if you really thought they went out that patio door? And I just think it's very strange that Daniel tells us what Lily had on. Like maybe he did see her that morning. I'm not saying he did. And I'm not, just because there's red flags doesn't mean he did anything, but I do think it's concerning. And so It's been now a month, you guys. It's been a month. And this is we have the timeline. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this is what, Jack and Malehya looked like, when they, in better days, in my opinion, than what they look like now. A lot of people feel like there's some type of medication um, abuse, some kind of substances involved here. But this is very, very concerning. And I think his statements of he's going to look for the rest of his life, it's very hard to lie. It's very hard to lie. We know from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that they've interviewed more than 50 people. We had heard they had interviewed 30. Now we know there's more than 50. And then they've been focusing on the specific area of Gairloch Road and the nearby pipeline trail where the boot print had been found. So it does seem like they went back to, maybe they wandered away. I don't know. But they resumed with 75 searchers, give or take, but heavy winds and incoming geomagnetic storm kept the drones on the ground on Sunday. So it sounds like they were able to search with drones on Saturday, but not Sunday. But it is really sad that here we are, and we don't have an answer as to what happened to Lilly and Jack. This is the CTV news. This is the head of the rescuer. This is search manager Amy Hansen. Now she says that they did focus on a wider area, and she said they didn't have anything. She said there's not really any updates. We came back in to cover off some more areas that we deemed are crucial to the search. There's no new evidence. Search and rescue discovered a boot print in the area during a previous weekend. Volunteers wanted to follow up with a deeper search. Now these were trained volunteers. She said, we don't know for sure if the boot print was from the children, but it's the only real thing we've had to go on thus far, and we are investigating that further. So you can see that, people do have, missing children. So thank you to everybody who's searched that. And, God bless all of these search and rescue people. This has got to be really grueling. And you can see how they're bundled up, and, it does make me concerned for Lilly and Jack. It really does make me feel concerned. But a lot of people feel suspicious of Daniel. And I think it's because of, comments like these, where he, why would he have to look the rest of his life to find them? Let me know if this bothers you also. I do want to say thank you to our producers. We're not done, but I just do want to say thank you to Njaz, Sasha Angel, George Brown Pepper, and Christy Ballantyne. And thank you to all of our channel members. If you would like to have your name appear just like this in all of my videos, and also in my live streams, and have a check mark next to your name, please consider hitting the join button. It's next to the subscribe button. Subscribing is free, and joining only costs a couple of dollars. But a lot of people do have problems with Daniel's statements that he's made. That was just like another example of where he's kind of stepped in it, in my opinion, where he says something, and then he, the truth leaks out, right? It's really hard to not have plot holes, and, and the truth leaks out there. And I do want to give super thanks and coffee gratitude so much for the last live stream. Thank you so much. And also gifted channel memberships. Thank you so much, you guys. If I left your name off, please let me know in the comment section below. Don't do it in the chat, but let me know in the comment section below. So this bothers me a lot. This really bothers me.
And could lead to finding Lilly and Jack.
I'm going to keep fighting for the rest of my life to find these kids.
The rest of his life to find these kids. These kids bothers me a little bit, but the rest of my life bothers me a lot. Because why would you assume that this is going to take the rest of your life?
That's the only goal I have at this point.
Haley Ryan, CBC News, Lansdowne Station.
So he's the only one that's talking to the press. Malehya's not talking to the press. She says she's been told not to.
To finding every detail.
But I do want to look at this dense foliage.
Police are asking anyone.
Let me mute this. Okay, so you can see how vast it is. So this is the trailer right here where they live. but you can, if they did come out the front door. Now, Daniel says that they went out the patio doors. And this may be why Malehya's statement seems so disjointed, is because maybe what she said in some of her statement isn't what she actually heard or saw, but maybe it's what Daniel told her. But so maybe that's, that's what she's going by. But as she listened more, she, got a bad feeling and feels like he had something to do with it. But this is the area that law enforcement is having to search. And but I'm just wondering why, if he drove in his car to, or vehicle, was it an off-road vehicle? Like, did he go back into here to search, or did he come out here and search along Gerlich Road? What do you guys think? Let me see. I want to see what you guys think about this. Daniel said they would not go to the other side of the road. Can we count on that statement? You mean cross the road? At this point, I don't think we can. I don't think we can discount it. I don't think we should discount anything. I think everything should just stay within the realm of possibility. Bubby says, or Daniel moved the kids deeper into the woods every time they come to search, in my opinion. Leslie said, allegedly, Malehya's mother forced her to go with her. I don't know. Yeah, please give this a thumbs up and let YouTube know I'm doing a G-rated show. It's free to give a thumbs up. It helps me out. Winning Bigley says, I really think dogs would have found a scent, and also believe that they would find something left behind from the kids. I don't know. I think it's possible, it seems like they should have found a scent, but when you look at how dense the woods are and you see the searchers kind of going into it, I don't know how far the search dogs could actually get into the woods. So I could see why, but now that they've done like a more, a grid search and really gotten back in there, it does make me wonder if law enforcement is starting to think that maybe, and Sean thinks that the mom not speaking is very odd. Christy agrees with you, Winning Bigley. And Julie says, Daniel said they would not go to the other side of the road. I don't think we can count on anything that they did or didn't do. We just don't know. And Jazz thinks it's a weird comment. Thank you for modding today. And Jazz is our head mod, along with Brother Mike and Six Sense Amelia. Valerie says, I'm with you on that one, to Bubby Garcia. And where did Daniel go in his vehicle for so long while Malehya called 911? I don't think he was searching for the kids. Well, I'm wondering if Malehya is wondering the same thing you are, Valerie. If she heard some statements that set off a 4-alarm fire for her, and she has a similar take on it to what you're thinking. Not a Robot says, hello, everyone. Wow, this is bothersome. He revealed quite a bit there. Interesting. Yeah, I think he did. The fact that he thinks it's going to be the rest of his life is interesting. Winnie Bigley says, nothing would keep me away from the area where I actually believe my kids left from. Nobody, nothing. So a lot of people have had, scrutiny about Malehya not searching, not coming back and not searching. We do know she has a 1-year-old, and there have been reports that the house was not fit to live in for a 1-year-old, and that this is just allegedly, so speculation warning here, and that she was, told to take the 1-year-old. So maybe she's afraid, but it does seem like she could come back and search. It's interesting that she isn't coming back to search. Christiane says, let's hope that the whole thing isn't some sort of scam. Both parents knew where the children are, but came up with a scripted story. I hope not. I hope not. Winnie Bigley said, kids are capable of doing or going anywhere, in my opinion. Kathleen wants to know, have they looked across the road? I honestly don't know, Kathleen. That is such a great question. You can see how wooded it is there. So if they've searched all around in here, because Daniel says that they went out the patio doors, but they, Malehya tells us she didn't hear the doors. But is Malehya's statement so bizarre because she was told something by Daniel, or is it bizarre because the whole thing is made up? Hold on, I want to pull this up. I'm just. Okay, let's listen to her with her own words.
Okay, you guys are still with me?
Oh,
Good. So, where was I at?
oh, my bad. This is somebody's channel. I was just trying to find a news outlet with her statement on it without let's see. I see it from TikTok, but that's going to have I wanted without doing it with somebody else's channel. People can be funny about using their channels. I don't like people to use mine. This is another one with Daniel. I want to watch this.
6 days after 6-year-old rural northeastern Nova Scotia, the RCMP announced today their search for the two siblings is being scaled back, saying there's little chance they are alive. The CBC's Blair Rhodes joins us now live from the search area in Pictou County with the latest. Blair.
Tom, the mood here was solemn as the searchers were told that despite their best efforts, they were scaling back the search. Before the news conference, RCMP told Jack and Lily's family their stepfather, Daniel Martell, said he's not giving up.
I'm still holding out hope. I don't know why they didn't find anything from Jack's pull-up to her backpack or any of her belongings at all. They just haven't found anything.
Now, he does look upset there. I just want to say, I do think he does look upset.
Now, while the family may have some hope, the police say that after 6 days of often extreme conditions, the children were...
And you could see how thick and dense it is and how hard it would be to get search dogs in there, you guys.
Were still in the woods, they wouldn't be alive. So now they said it came down to a question of survivability.
And a number of factors would have to take into consideration, and they would, based upon scientific information that they have, to deem when that time has to come, and that is now. And a lot of those factors come into play would be the age of the missing persons, the weather, how long it's been, what area has been covered. So at that point, they have to make a decision on that.
Now, from the very beginning, they described this disappearance as suspicious. That's standard in missing persons cases like this. Today, we were asking the police, because the Major Crime Unit has been part of this investigation since the weekend, as to whether they could elaborate on that. But they didn't want to answer questions about whether they had detected any criminal activity in connection with this.
So I do think it's interesting that they're characterizing this as suspicious. I do think it's interesting that the Major Crime Unit is the one investigating this.
When somebody goes missing and we become engaged as any police officer, not just major crime, we will look at all the details and make considerations on the information we have, right? When it comes to a missing person, we have to automatically consider are there people that have different charter implications and things like that? So we will automatically start to consider what evidence is pointing us towards a suspicious in nature. Again, I can't comment more than that, but every missing person case, we would approach it from the same process, a methodical collection and review of information with decisions based on that.
Now, when police say they're scaling back, what they mean by that is they will be going back over some of the areas they've already searched, taking another look to see if there's anything they missed.
Okay, so I do think that's interesting. Definitely interesting. Let's see what Leslie says. Let me see. Leslie said, in my opinion, if the kids were no longer with us in the area, vultures would be circling. But that's a good point, and we haven't seen that. I haven't seen anything like that. Winnie Bigley says, Jack's pull-up being left behind is a weird thing to say. Also, just my opinion. Miss Sippy Talker says, she was told by authorities that the baby didn't need to be there. She wouldn't allow the separation. None know what or how they might react. Individual has a definition. And I just want to make it clear that just even if I feel like there's something, weird that he said it was going to take the rest of his life, doesn't mean that he did anything. I just think it's it's weird. It's suspicious. Yes. Just because something seems suspicious doesn't mean I'm not saying he did anything to these little ones. I just want to make that really clear. So please don't send any negativity. I want to welcome Susan as a brand new Reporter Room channel member. Welcome, Susan. Welcome to Texas Life Julie as a brand new Reporter Room channel member. Thank you to NJAZ for your gifted Reporter Room membership. And thank you to Ruby Garcia, who became a Reporter Room channel member. Welcome to the family, Ruby, Julie, and Susan. And I did want to do super thanks and coffee gratitude and also gifted memberships. If I did leave out anybody, this is from our last live stream. If I didn't leave out anybody, please let me know. I was sick, so I'm worried that, that I would have missed something. So that's where we are on this case. If you just are joining, you'll want to back it up a little bit. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police does have a major crime unit, so that's not a search and rescue. They said that they're committed to exploring all possibilities surrounding the disappearance of Jack and Lilly. And according to them, more than 50 people have been formally interviewed, with more that may have been done since they made this statement. But they have found no evidence that we know about. And with the 75 professional searchers, I was really hoping to have, that they found something. I mean, just a diaper, anything, the backpack. But instead, they haven't found anything. They did have heavy winds and an incoming geomagnetic storm, and that kept the drones on the ground on Sunday. And they are also fighting through exhaustion. They have been searching for Lilly and Jack now for a month. So I do think it's really interesting. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. And please consider giving this a thumbs up. Let me know if you would like me to continue to cover this case. I definitely will. If you would like me to continue covering this case, please subscribe and give this a thumbs up so I know you want me to continue. So thank you so much for coming by to spend a little bit of time with me. If you are modding today, please come down and drop me a comment. Let's do a mod parade where I can say thank you to our mods. If you are a mod, Can I Kick It says, if he said some stuff about Malehya and her mom said he was the one taking care of the kids usually. And Josh, thank you so much. She said, if you would like to become a Reporter Room membership, here is the link. Brother Mike, thank you so much for modding. And Josh, thank you for modding. Let's do a mod parade. Come down and drop me a comment if you are modding today so I can thank you. Thank you, Princess Elsa. If anybody else is modding today, please come down and drop me a comment so I can say thank you right now. So because we'll do like a little mod parade where I can just shout you out. Susan, thank you so much for modding today. She said, it's a good case. Please continue your coverage. I will. Thank you, Christy. She says, thank you, Jessica. Mods are us. Yes, mods are us. Let me move myself up a little bit. Brother Mike's, I'm cooking dinner too. Oh, can't wait to hear more about that. Florence said, thank you, mods. You do a great job. PJ, thumbs up. Christiane says, thank you, Jessica, and all the fab reporting. Cheers to the memberships and members and mods. And Princess Elsa says hello. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to leave it there. And I hope you guys will come by and spend a little bit of time with me. I'll be updating this case again in the next you could be looking in the next 2 or 3 days. But if there's any breaking news, obviously I'll be going live with that right away. So please make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so you don't miss breaking news in this case. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.